Chairman said he was going to correct the record. I don't think there was anything in the record there to correct. The chairman said that the majority of the members had voted against my legislation that the Fed, the Federal Reserve, wanted. And indeed, that's true. Most of the members, that's what I said, most of the members had voted against that in the House. The chairman said the bill did not go out of the Senate. That's true. In a straight party line vote in the Senate, it did go out of committee, but it couldn't get off of the floor on a 55-45 split in the Senate. Although I do remember at the time the speeches given by Chuck Hagel, who was the author on the Senate side of the Fed's bill, and the speech given by John McCain in support, and the speech on the floor given by Chris Dodd in opposition to it. So I just want to again confirm that yes, indeed, the Federal Reserve and the Treasury, as a matter of fact, supported that legislation. And the reason it's important is because we are back to debating that again. If we go back to where OFEO and HUD were in terms of their positions, we basically have a situation where the safety and soundness regulator is being trumped, is being prevented, just as with the case of Fannie and Freddie. HUD had in its mission these affordable housing goals, and as a result, HUD came out with the idea of zero down payment loans. That'd be an anathema to safety and soundness, but no skin in the game, zero down payment loans. HUD came up with the idea of allowing them to arbitrage. Go ahead and leverage 100-to-1. Now, this was absolute anathema to the regulators for safety and soundness, but nevertheless, it was allowed to happen. And the amendment to try to do something about it and allow the regulator to step in and regulate for a systemic risk was blocked. When it came to the idea of meeting those affordable housing goals by doing $1 trillion in subprime, that was encouraged, not by the safety and soundness regulators. For them, they saw in 2004, 2005, 2006, as they came up here and advised us against this, they saw where this was headed, and so did Treasury. So now we're in the process of trying to look at the problems that are in the past, but not repeating those problems in the future. And that is why I think it is important, at the end of the day, that the regulator for safety and soundness be able to trump these other missions. Fannie and Freddie became the most powerful influence or lobby up here. And as you know, I've supported a federal insurance charter for some time, and I'd like to talk about another issue here. I was concerned about the EIG problem and not being able to get our hands around the information, and I think you were too. We've talked about that. As you've laid out your regulatory reform proposal, there are several problems with the current balkanized state-based regulatory system. It's inefficient, it's costly for consumers, it hampers U.S. competitiveness, it lacks a centralized regulator, which is the key concern for me, with the ability to look at the entire U.S. market. As we are working to streamline and consolidate regulatory authority in the insurance portion of our financial system, it appears we may be taking a step back in the banking sector, especially with respect to the Consumer Financial Protection Agency. Within your CFPA proposal, you call for creating a floor for consumer protection which would allow state consumer laws to go over the top of the national standard. Bearing in mind what has happened in our insurance market where we have 50 different sets of rules, 50 different regulatory approaches, are you concerned the negative consequences that have arisen in the insurance market could be replicated in the banking sector with this approach? And would it not make sense to set a ceiling as well as a floor so there is some consistency nationwide?
I understand the concern you're raising, and it's difficult to get the balance perfect. We thought about it a lot. What we laid out was our best judgment. Again, how to make sure you have stronger, more uniform protections at the national level without depriving states of the ability to go beyond that. But I understand the concern. Again, we thought we got the balance right, but this is an issue, a very complicated issue. This committee spent a lot of time on these issues in the past in the preemption area, and again, we're happy to work with you and try to think through how best to get a better balance.
I appreciate it. And one last point before my time expires. would you concur on the thought about Fannie and Freddie, some of the points that I made in terms of the systemic risk that they pose to the system?
There's no doubt that we as a country let Fannie and Freddie get to a point where they pose enormous risks to the stability financial system. No doubt about it. It would have been good if we'd figured out a way to avoid that earlier. And that mistake should underpin much of what we do in thinking about how to create a more stable system.
Thank you.